Leading in isolation. This week's focus in Time with Tim. Now, many of you will be very familiar with leading in a virtual environment. For some of you, this might be the first time. Um, and for a lot of you, certainly this is the first time that the degree of isolation, both for yourself and for your team, and everything else that's going on, with the COVID-19 pandemic, it is really sort of quite unusual and extreme. So in a bit of a break from the schedule that I've been running on YouTube, I'm just going to spend this week focusing on my experience over the last couple of weeks and leaning on my experience over the last few years of running a virtual organization to talk about really what's working for me. The thing that I'm going to sort of say today is when times are tough, I double down on the 3 Ps of basically purpose, principles, and perseverance. Now, principles could be interchangeable with values. Perseverance, you could talk about resilience. I'm just trying to have 3 neat Ps. So if I start with the first one, principles, values. Let's hope that you've got yours clearly defined. If not, go and have a look at one of the weeks I ran on values a few weeks ago. But I think we're seeing a lot of behaviors at the moment, ultimately where people are either compromising their values and their principles in the short term with some of these very selfish, very sort of antisocial behaviors, or they're actually displaying their principles very clearly, that fundamentally they're not interested in other people's well-being. They're not really wanting to contribute to a greater societal effort. They're just out for themselves. So I think being very clear about what your principles are, to share with you mine: commitment, care, integrity, courage, and a little bit of that perseverance. So here we are, still going, still caring, still sharing, still wanting to do the best thing we can to help other leaders like ourselves. So stick to your principles. Purpose flows out of principles for a lot of people. My purpose, doing the best I can to help leaders make a better world, has never been more in demand, in my view, than when we're going through this extraordinary period. So let's find purpose together, and let's stick to it. And I think what I've found is actually, a real uplift in frankly, getting up every day, showing up every day, keeping going through this exceptional period of this pandemic, because I have discovered this sense of purpose, and I'm being resolute that is, why I'm here, and what I'm going to do is keep showing up. And finally, perseverance. I mean, this is the easiest thing to say, and perhaps one of the hardest things to do. Just keep going. What do you need to be perseverant? Well, for me, a support network is a fundamental, right? Reach out to those around you who are sharing of your purpose, recognize your values, and will be perseverant with you. Be humble, be vulnerable. Tell people how you're feeling. If you're scared, let's talk about that. If you're worried, let's talk about that. If you're happy and grateful for what you have today, then let's celebrate that as well. So support network, really, really important. Well-being. Please get enough sleep. I've had articles previously, I'll add them in the comments here, about sleep. Really focusing on sleep is vital at the moment. Doing everything you can to moderate and minimize your stress, also fundamental. And as best you can, with the pressure on the food supply chain, eat the most nourishing food that you can get hold of. And as much as you can, sort of help out those who don't have enough as well. So those for me have been the 3 Ps that got me through my last week in isolation, when I was at home, in self-imposed isolation, having been exposed through a second degree to a confirmed COVID-19 case. I had some symptoms. I elected to stay home with my wife and my 2 kids. And those 3 Ps, sticking to my principles, having a clear sense of purpose, and being perseverant, that's what got me through. Now, I know we're all going through our own version of this particularly turbulent time, but I hope in some small way that message might help and enable you to do what you need to do during this time as well. Thank you. And that was some time with Tim, and there'll be more tomorrow. Take care.